From the time that avalanche fractured to the time I was violently crushed into trees and buried was 12 seconds. In a mere 12 seconds, everything changed. They dug down about arm's depth to find my body. They found me face down and very carefully rolled me over to get air to my face. And I was breathing, but making a lot of funny noises. They rushed to the top of the ridge with a cell phone and called for a helicopter. When the helicopter landed at the helipad at San Alfonso Medical Center, they took the gurney out of the helicopter, and on the helipad, what they'd all feared happened. I stopped breathing. They found a broken neck, compound fractured left femur. It blew my left femur in half. Crushed left rib cage, collapsed left lung. And then because that helmet got ripped off my head, I bounced off that tree like a rag doll, and they found bruising on both sides of my brain. I was in a state of coma, and they weren't sure if I was coming out. My dad sunk back in shock, thinking, this is it. I'm losing my oldest son. I'm going to plan my son's funeral. And then he sat there for a minute and thought, no, it's not time yet. It's not. He marched down the hall and found that doctor and he said this. He said, Doc, I'm sorry, but I know if Matt were in my shoes, he would not give up on me this soon. I want a second opinion. And they rushed from the room to get the doctor to tell him what happened. And he had what my dad described to be a poor bedside manner. He was a bit arrogant, and he walked in the room with a real negative tone and said, so you guys think he's responding? And John said, Doc, he is responding. Watch this. And eventually they got me to lightly squeeze his hand. Because later he had to meet my family to discuss the reality that still remained in the situation was this. Okay, Matt may live. We've got some activity, but look, he's in a coma. I'm not sure if he's going to come out. There's no way to know. And he said that on top of that, he goes, you have to understand something. Matt's got significant spinal damage too. He said, I'm not sure he'll walk again if he comes out of this coma. And he said, also, understand this. Be aware of this. If he comes out of this coma, when he does, he will not be the same Matt you once knew. There's simply too much brain damage. He won't be the same Matt. But a lot more time went by. I didn't come out of that coma for a little over a month. When I came out of that coma, the doctor was right to some degree. I was not the same Matt. And I began to just do every day physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy for as long and hard as I could, and then rest. And then I'd go again. Get up, do it again. Get up, do it again. And I had to fall into a routine of discipline because it was hard to get out of bed every day knowing I was going to do the same routine again. But that's what it took. I had to condition my mind to go, okay, I got to do this. Because if I don't, I will regret it. So I got out of bed every day and applied myself to the point of exhaustion and then go back to sleep. Because I was hospitalized for 88 straight days. And day 88, I got to leave and go home, walking on a cane. Not very well, but I was walking. But I went home to a world that didn't know me anymore. And quite honestly, I didn't know my world. When I left that world, you see on the screen who I was. They viewed me as one of the elite mountain freeriders in the world. But when I came home, I was no longer that Matt. And that was not my real job, per se. My real job, because that didn't pay the bills, that just was a bonus, but my real job was I was a lead sales manager at Rogers Toyota here in town. And I've been promoted 3 times in 2 years. And at age 27, I was leading the entire sales department. And so life was going really good for me. But in 12 seconds, sayonara, gone, out the window. And so I came back to a world I had to readjust to because I didn't know that world anymore, and that world did not know me. So I had to fall back to the same routine of physical therapy, speech therapy, occupational therapy on a home front instead. I do it every day. If you look up the definition of adversity in the dictionary, you'll find various definitions, but the easiest one to understand and what makes the most sense is this. It says distress, affliction, hardship, an unfortunate event or incident. Based upon that definition, I think you'll agree with me, it's a fact of life. At some point you're going to face distress, affliction, hardship, an unfortunate event or incident. Jim Rohn, he wrapped this up. Jim Rohn was one of America's foremost business philosophers. He passed away last spring, but an amazing man of wisdom. He says this regarding this situation. He talks about discipline versus regret. He says, we all must face one of two pains, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. Then he goes on to say the difference is discipline weighs ounces, regret weighs tons. Discipline weighs ounces, regret weighs tons. Look at the person next to you and say this. Say, I prefer ounces over tons. Here's the decision you make. Will I react or will I respond? And although there's only subtle difference in definition between those two terms, there's a massive difference in action. Okay? A reaction to life circumstances is typically emotionally driven. And it's not thought through, and it's hastily done, it's on the go, and it doesn't create very good results. A response, on the other hand, is preceded by thought. It's a plan and action. It's thought through, it's well executed, it's going somewhere. React to life circumstances. You allow the circumstance to affect you. When you respond, you affect the circumstance. Affect your circumstances with your attitude. Don't let your attitude be affected by your circumstances. That's a tough choice, but it drastically affects the outcome of your problems. I'm going to say that again. Affect your circumstances with your attitude. Don't let your attitude be affected by your circumstances. I promise you this. My boys are glad that Daddy made the choice to respond to adversity. This is a recent picture. That was last year from the Fall Winter Festival. Not sculptures. I'm still with my boys often. I'm still Daddy. I have one arm, big deal. I can't walk very fast, neither can they. Respond to adversity because they were counting on Daddy to respond to adversity. Along with that comes this. Be the change you want to see. Once you discover what you can change, don't just talk about it, do something. Be the change. Make the first step. Because if I'm going to walk over there, I can tell you I'm going to walk over there. I'm going to tell you it's a good place to walk. There's lots going on over there. I'm really excited because there's whatever's over in the corner. But until I take the first step, I'm not going to get there, am I? Take the first step because without you, it ain't going to happen. Discipline is a choice. So is regret. You think about this. You can't argue the fact that nearly every move we make in this life is preceded by choices you make. Not the circumstances you face determine your success. I'm going to say that again too. The choices you make, not the circumstances you face, determine your success. That's so true. Because I can blame life on all the circumstances, or I can choose to be my best in the midst of those circumstances. I have a choice every single time. Is it easy? No, it's not. Few have success. One of the cutest quotes I've ever read is this. It says, there are no traffic jams along the extra mile. Because not everyone's going there. There's no traffic jams along the extra mile. So it's not easy. I promise you this. We cannot control what happens to us, okay? We can't. Stuff's going to happen to us in this life. We're going to face struggle. We're going to face hardship. We can't always control those things. However, we can control what happens in us. You can control what happens in you. And I could have went home and said, I'm done, this is it. I mean, it's not fair. I can't work, I can't be employed. But no, I went home and said, you know what? It's time to write a book. Because I had a sense the entire time I was supposed to write my story. And so I began to sit down and write it out, jot my notes down, and make the story come together. And over a slow period of time, because I typed a 160-page book with one hand, because I only got one hand, typed it all, pecked it out. And once I saw my story unfold on paper, I realized, wait a second, there's still more I saw it was this Matt Botrat. Because I was one of the best, it was great, but in 12 seconds, gone. But when I came out of that coma, I was still Matt Botrat, because I promise you this, the who still exists when the what goes out the window. January 1st, 2010. The Avalanche happened March 1st, 2009. January 1st, 2010. I got back on the scene, the same turbocharged snowmobile that took me down. $4,000 damage to the sled, $1.3 million in my body. Not sure how that's very fair, but I got back on the same sled and rode 16 miles that day. It was the most painful 16 miles of my entire career on a sled. But I can tell you this is the most rewarding. Because I defeated that fear. And then a few weeks later, I went back to the Avalanche site, stared that hell in the face, defeated that fear too. So strap your helmet back on and keep on riding. Make the choice to choose discipline over regret. And I promise you, that right there will change your life. It'll change the course of your life. I'll leave off this. Again, adversity is not an option. It's a fact of life. Okay? Adversity by itself makes no one stronger. Only a proper response to adversity has the power to bring us astonishing strength. Thanks, guys.